Good afternoon, Carla. It's Monday. Welcome to Twins Read Plays. So today we are going to discuss part 1 of Desire Under the Elms, which is the first 4 scenes. At the beginning of this play, we are introduced to Eben Cabot, who is the youngest of 3 sons, and this all takes place on the Cabot farm in 1850. When we are introduced to him, he is walking out of a house with a dinner bell, and he rings the dinner bell. And after that come his brothers. We are introduced to his brothers Simeon and Peter. Simeon is 39 and Peter is 37, so they are a good bit older than Eben. And we are told that this is because Simeon and Peter have the same mother, and then their mother died, and their father married Eben's mother. We can see how after Eben's mother died, how Eben really took her place, and it's very obvious in this first scene where he has made dinner and he's cleaned the plates and he's bringing in the men from working in the field. We're really introduced more to Simeon and Peter in this. We're given a lot of exposition to them, and they talk about how they would like to leave, they don't want to be here anymore. Simeon and Peter talk a lot about how they've worked on this farm for their whole life, they have gotten very little out of this farm, and how they really want to go to California and go and work for gold. They really just want to make their fortunes from gold. When we get to scene 2, this is dinner with Simeon and Peter and Eben. We're really seeing the dynamic between them and how out of place Eben is with his brothers, and I really think he sees a lot of distance between them, and a lot of it he created himself because he's always been with his mother and he's always absolutely loved his mother, and he doesn't really care for his brothers because they're not really his brothers, they're his half-brothers. So he really took his mother's place, and he truly believes that his mother owned this farm and his father worked her to death, leaving the farm to him. So he truly believes that this is his farm and that he has a right to it, and it's not right for Simeon and Peter to have a share of something that isn't theirs. Ephraim left. Eben asks why his father didn't prevent him from running away, but prevented his brothers Simeon and Peter from running away. He made them promise that they would stay there at least until he came back, and Eben's like, why wasn't I told that? Eben asserts that he is stronger than Simeon and Peter, so why wasn't he prevented from leaving? Because really he should be the one that should stay so he could take care of the entire farm because he believes it's his. Eben gets really upset when his brothers laugh at him for asserting that he is stronger than they are, so he decides he's going to go walk into town, and his brothers know that it's to go see Min, who is the town prostitute, who has been with every man in this family, and he gets really angry at this because he's like, no, she's mine, everything is mine, and he's really adamant that everything he has is absolutely his and has never been anyone else's, or what he has is rightfully his. So he truly believes that the farm is rightfully his, and everyone else is trying to steal from him, and he truly believes that Min is rightfully his and has never been with anybody else except him. And then at first, when the brothers make fun of him and say that, you know, everybody else in this family has also been with your girl, he gets really angry and he's like, well, gotta go bash her head in, which clearly is the best response to this. And then as he's thinking about it, he really just becomes so enamored with her and is like, but, you know, she's really pretty and I really like her, and it doesn't matter what sins she has before because my sins are the prettiest sins. So a lot of this beginning is Eben thinking that he's better than everybody else and thinking that he has earned all of these things that no one else will give him, but they really belong to other people, and he's really upset about that. Then we get into scene 3, which is the beginning of a new day. Eben comes back and he goes up to his bedroom, which he shares with Simeon and Peter. And what's really interesting about this is that Simeon and Peter have real beds. Eben has a cot. So as much as he feels he's entitled to this farm, he still gets nothing. He doesn't even get a real bed to sleep on, he gets a cot. As much as he feels he's entitled to this, he still has very little that is truly his. Eben, who has been to town, wakes up Simeon and Peter and tells them that Ephraim has married someone else, and he married someone who is 35, which doesn't seem like that big of a deal until you realize that Simeon, the oldest brother, is 39. He married a woman of 35, and Simeon and Peter have decided that they can't do this anymore. They can't keep working on this farm while their father goes off in his righteous way. And so they decide they're going to leave for California, and this is when Eben is really pushing, will you sign away your shares of the farm? Will you give them to me? I will pay you for them. I will give you money that is Ephraim's. Simeon and Peter were discussing whether or not they were actually going to do this, and so they want proof that they can actually be given money or that they can actually sign away these, because they don't know if it's actually true that their father has married someone else, but they discuss with each other and say, well, if he's married, then we'll be signing over something that we wouldn't have gotten anyway, so it's like signing over nothing. So they decide that they're going to sign it away and they're going to give their shares of the farm to Eben. And then we get into scene 4. They're in the kitchen, and Simeon and Peter have just finished their breakfast, and sort of as a reflex, they go to stand up and go to work, and then they realize, well, it's Eben's farm. Eben can do all the work. We'll just sit here. They decide that Eben can be the sole owner, and so they tell Eben, well, you should probably go milk the cows. And Eben is so excited that he finally has something that's his. And so he goes and runs off to milk the cows, and the brothers are just like, yeah, we're just gonna sit here. As they start to get up and, we're gonna go help Eben, Eben runs back in and says that Ephraim is coming down the drive with his new wife. And so Simeon and Peter race up to pack their bundles so they can leave, because they decided that they were going to leave when Ephraim came back. These sons are taking this money to betray their father and to leave him with this whole farm that this old man couldn't possibly take care of by himself. And they're just leaving him and they're abandoning him because they just want to go and find gold. They really want to make their fortunes. So they're very Judas-like. The rest of the play centers around Eben and Ephraim and Abby, who is Ephraim's new wife. And as they enter, everybody else freezes and they just stop and they look, because Ephraim is 75 years old. When they come in, Simeon and Peter they're like, we're gonna do this. Before they leave, they are making fun of their father so much that they take rocks and they throw it through the parlor window, but the parlor is significant later. And while this is happening, Abby is looking around the house and she's like, oh, is this mine? And she's really trying to claim everything in this as hers. And Ephraim is really devout in saying that, no, this is ours. This is our house. This is our bedroom. And at first, as if he's going to try to claim it as his. This is mine. But then he sort of softens as if he's realized how lonely he's been without his wife. And he's like, it's ours. And when Ephraim is really trying to figure out whether Simeon and Peter have truly sabotaged the farm, he goes and runs to the barn. Abby comes down and she goes into the kitchen, which we have been established that that's Eben's safe place. The kitchen is his. And suddenly, there's Abby, there's the woman. And in 1850, the woman's job was to stay in the kitchen. And so now, Eben doesn't have a safe place. Abby gets really possessive of it, and then is also trying to seduce Eben. But Abby is sort of taken by his good looks, and really sees Eben in a way that nobody else had. And Abby admits that that's the reason that she married Ephraim, was for his money. It's shallow, yes. Eben is very, very upset about this because it's like, no, you're trying to take what's rightfully mine. And Abby shows how manipulative and how possessive she can be by saying, if you go and tell your father that I married him for his money, then I will make him kick you out, and then this will be mine anyway. and even gets very defensive because this is all he has. This is all he's ever known, is this farm and his mother, and this is what he thinks he's entitled to. You end part 1 on a very high note of having these two people be so possessive over this one area. And what I think is really powerful is at the end of part 1, in a stage direction, at the very end, it says, Abby is washing her dishes. And nothing in there is specifically bolded or pointed at, but it says her dishes. This is the first possession that she has. They're technically Ephraim's because this is Ephraim's house. But because Abby has now married Ephraim, these are their plates, but it gives possession to her. And so you can already see her taking a position that Eben didn't want her to have and taking a position nobody else thought she was going to get. So that's the end of part 1. I'm excited to hear your analysis of part 2. Carlos, see you tomorrow.